Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we are talking about the Atmakaraka in the third house. So, the Atmakaraka is basically the planet with the highest degree in your chart. So, for example, if you have in, especially in Vedic astrology, because we have planets, we have all the houses, all the signs are 30 degrees long. So if you have, a planet at like 29 degrees or something like that, that's probably going to be your highest planet. So you're going to want to find out what the highest degrees longitude, the planet with the highest degrees longitude are in your chart. Once you find that, then that's your Atmakaraka, and then you go look where it's placed in your chart. Which house is it placed in? And I'll be doing this series to go through each house for each planet. So, third house. The third house corresponds to your communication. This is the house of your communication. This is the house of your speaking ability, your intellect. Also, it's the house of your courage. Uh, you know, it's the house of your early childhood education. Your It relates to your siblings and things like that. So, um, you know, it's really like third house is like, so it's communication, it's siblings, it's early childhood education, it is your like your neighbors and like things like that. Um, in childhood, like the kids that you would play with or whatever. And yeah, so as for what it does in adulthood is it gives you courage. It gives you the courage to um, basically speak and to communicate and to, you know, be you because it's, the third house. It's the third from the first house, which means that it's like your um the courage, the ability for the soul to go into, the earth and to really express itself and find out what it wants to do. And it's really about courage and things like that. So, with your Atmakarka here, there's going to be a heavy focus on communication. You might have a lot of courage. You might have like an A type personality. You might just like have a lot of self confidence and courage in this house if your Atmakarka is in this house. And so so yeah, it's you know uh, you'll be a good communicator, and the is the Atmakarka provides your basically your highest strength and your highest challenge in life. Give me a second, guys. Sorry, guys. All right, so basically the Atmakarka, what it does is it provides you the greatest strength in life and also the greatest challenges. So, you know, uh, you know, third house is aspecting the ninth house, so those are opposite houses. So it's kind of basically um, the ninth house is like the house of the guru, so or your teacher. So there could be some conflict there with a teacher or a guru. Um, So, whatever your Atmakaraka is, I'm not sure if I talked about this, but the Atmakaraka means basically what that means is the soul significator. So we have Atman is the soul, and then Karaka is the significator. Just like Yoga Karaka, things like that. So, um, so your yoga card or your Atmakarka is your soul significator. And so this has a strong correlation to the path of your soul, what you're supposed to be doing in this life, and what gives you happiness and things like that. Because, as I'm not sure if I talked about this on this channel, but basically, the world is here to serve you. It's like tying back to Indian mythology. Uh, you know, and a lot of people, when they hear the term mythology, they say, "Oh, that's a myth. That's fiction." No, mythology is, just a different way to say something that's like happened in the past. That's like a continuing story. So, or that get continues to get told in the present. So, basically what happened was Vishnu, if you know about Vishnu, he created the world to serve him, basically. There's Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. And Vishnu is the heart or the soul. And so the world is here to serve the soul. So your experiences, good and bad, are here to serve you, to serve your soul. Burn off karma, to learn lessons, to accomplish things, achieve things, and things like that. So, yeah. So basically, the world is here to serve your soul. And so the Atmakarka, the soul significator, is basically what its position signifies what you came here to do, what you came here to achieve, what you came here to accomplish. So, and even maybe even like things that give you joy, because honestly, like we're supposed to be chasing the things that give us joy, not the things that like give us temporary pleasure, like buying a buying a Ferrari or whatever, or having $1 million or whatever. Those things are nice, but they don't give us joy. Joy is achieved when you are doing the things that make you the happiest. And people often say, "Oh, if I had money, I would be happy." That's not joy, though. That's not true joy. Yes, money makes things easier, however, it's not true joy. So, your joy in your uh, Atmakarka is kind of a significator of what might give you joy, or what might give you happiness. So, uh, your Atmakarka being in the third house basically says that uh, you know, communication with others. That means like not only talking, but also writing and things like that. Journalism, blogging, uh, social media posting, and uh, things like that. So yeah, third house is very quick. It's communication. It's fast communication. It's even travel. You know, you can see like people liking like weekend road trips or things like that with this position. Um, you know, you might really like going on weekend road trips or things like that, going and even seeing the entirety of the United States or wherever you're from by car, you know, things like that. So that's kind of third house things. And then we have, so yeah, so this kind of might make you enjoy like communication, like talking with your siblings, um, younger siblings especially. Like you might love caring for your younger siblings. You might like to be with your siblings and your family and things like that. Um, this also gives you courage, like I mentioned. It's also early childhood education, so you might even want to be like a teacher, a pre-K teacher or something like that, teaching little kids. So, you know, and so third house is yeah, so it's teaching. Odd, oddly enough, it's you know, um, third house is early childhood education, like I said, but then opposite to that is the ninth house. So the ninth house is teaching. So there might be a correlation with teaching here, depending on what you have, especially if you have Jupiter as your Atmakaraka. If you have Jupiter in the third house aspecting the ninth, that's an obvious teaching kind of thing, kind of role. Um, but yeah, so I'll go through kind of the planets here and tell you a little bit about them and what they all about as the Atmakaraka. So we have the sun here. The sun as the Atmakaraka in the third house means that you got to shine. The sun is the natural Atmakaraka, meaning that like this is the sun is like a significator of the soul already because it shines so brightly and it's warm and bright and it's without the sun what would happen to the world you think so this is another interpretation of like Vishnu creating the world because without the sun the plants can't grow we can't get food there's a whole bunch of things that can't happen without the sun so sun in the third house as the Atmakarka, you might be like a leader. You might be like a PR person, putting out things to the world, putting out like information and uh, press briefings and press releases and things like that. Communication. Um, so your communication will shine. Like it's like the communication of a leader, like giving big speeches and things like that, and just like also just being liked in general. Like Mercury or like the third house energy is a form of being liked, and so if you do find yourself in a leadership position or a leadership role, you will, you know, there's a strong possibility that your coworkers or the people that you manage or lead will like you a lot. There's this like fun, playful, witty energy about you and things like that. So yeah, it's just that creativity, that creative expression, that joy, even in your creativity and in your expression and things like that. So yeah, and then if we have Moon here, Moon as the Atmakarka, that's a beautiful planet to have as your Atmakarka because it's basically it's speaking, it's communicating in the third house from the emotions. It's speaking and it's finding connection to other people through the emotions. So it's really something special. So even though this might be a more of a private setting, like you would be a great a therapist or something, where you could really talk about the things that you've gone through and use those challenges to uplift people. And it's you know sharing emotions is something that is very vulnerable to do. However, when you have your moon in the third house, it'll come off as more courageous. You could be an inspirational speaker. You could be um something like that, where it's like having this emotional effect on the entire world. Um, that's kind of what your soul wants to do. And also, you could be more of a mother to your siblings. Moon is the mother, so you could be, you could caretake your siblings and you know, uh, look out for them. You could have that role as like more of a parent than a sibling kind of thing. Um, just depending on what what else is going on in the chart. So yeah, so that's the moon in the third house, and then we have Mars in the third house. In Mars in the third house as the Atmakaraka. If you have Mars in the third house as your Atmakaraka, then your speech is going to be your speech is going to be very aggressive, very direct, very to the point. You could be like an army general. You could be like an army general, a leader in that capacity, where it's like you lead your team to war, or you like, you know, you get your like it's the moon, you know. So like as opposed to the moon or uh, the sun would have very uplifting energy, a very uplifting communication, very creative communication. The moon would have emotional communication. And then Mars here, we have Mars, and it's like just uh aggressive. So your communication might come out as being a bit uh tactless and just kind of straightforward and like not caring about what others think or say or whatever. And I mean that's how you are. It and by the way, uh third house is the house of courage, so you will have uh no no questions or no setbacks about about tearing people apart with communication. So yeah, um, so Mars. I mean, the the main lesson for Mars is like you know, uh, don't be overly aggressive and competitive. Even uh, yeah, like even in early childhood, you would have this like sense of competition with your siblings or with like the children that you grew up around, classmates and things like that. Um, yeah. Uh, so Mars in the third house. It's really a aggressive form of speech. It's It's alpha male kind of stuff and like general kind of stuff. And, like you could be an army general and things like that and have no problem leading your troops because it would be like very authoritative and things like that. Especially if you had Saturn here, Saturn Mars. That's like the army general. So and um and then we have if you have if you have Mercury as your Atmakaraka in the third house, then this is the natural ruler. This is the natural ruler of the third house. So the communicative abilities are going to be strengthened, and just like being fun, being witty, being very playful, joyful, things like that. And then so yeah, that's kind of what happens in the third house with Mercury because he rules it. And then if we have Jupiter in the third house, Jupiter in the third house, again, aspecting the ninth, makes you a great teacher. Makes you a wonderful teacher. Especially if it's like early education. You'll have this like wisdom in your communication. Like you could be a great advisor or spiritual counselor or things like that. Um, you'd be great at advising people. Um, Even like a PR person, like, okay, you have to say this and don't say that, and things like that. So it would give you some wisdom in your communication. So you would think before you speak, and you would just kind of you know have wisdom to share with others. So like even in your quick communications, text messages or whatever, there would be some like communication. There would be some wisdom given there, some teaching given there, some authority that you have in that in your communication that you convey to others that lifts them up. So um yeah, so you could be a great teacher. And a great thing about teachers is that, you know, one of the most helpful things to be a teacher is the ability to communicate ideas and principles and things that you're teaching concisely. So it's very clear, it's very direct, it's the ability to have that clear communication without, because some people they have thoughts and feelings, but or they're trying to communicate an idea, but sometimes it's very hard for them and they don't have the language to communicate it. So with this Jupiter here, it gives you great teaching ability. So that's great. And then we have Venus. If Venus is here, you could be a singer, you could be a songwriter, singer songwriter combination. Uh, Third house is all about communication, but it's also about writing as well, like novels, books, things like that. Any form of communication that you do is going to have this art and beauty to it that Venus brings. So it's so Venus brings this light, this the beauty, the art, beauty, creativity, things like that to the third house, to your communication. So you could be a singer, a songwriter, an artist, even an actor with this one, like because it would be creative ways and artistic ways of communicating. So, um, even if you're like a podcaster or a whatever you do, there's going to be like this kind, this very kind, very nurturing, soft way about it. You have Venus in the third house, your actual voice might be soft, a little bit softer. Like if you're a really, really buff guy who's like super masculine, you'd have a smooth voice. And even, you know, guys or women who aren't like super masculine have a super soft voice. So, um, so yeah. And I'm just realizing that now because I have Venus and Mercury and the Sun in my ninth house, which is aspecting my third house. So, um, anyway, let's see here. So we talked about Venus being beauty and art and just nice speech, just beautiful speech. Alright, so then we have Saturn here. So if Saturn is here, you might have slow speech. You might not talk a lot. You might speak very slowly and deliberately. There will be this thought that goes into your communication ability. Before you speak, you'll think about it and speak. Um, this also means that you have a lot of karma to do with communication, the way that you talk to others, your friendships, your relationships, and things like that. There's some karma to be repaid there. Something to do with that. Um, if if Saturn is in your third house and it's your Atmakaraka, then we have it. It really signifies like an old man who's like an older guy with like gray hair or white hair who speaks very slowly, but he speaks with authority. So even though you might speak very slowly, there might be some, especially if Saturn is retrograde, you might have like a stutter or like slow speech or um even like a stutter or some kind of a speech impediment. Um, but and that might give you a lot of trouble in early life, with bullying and things like that. But eventually, as you get older, over the age of like 33, 35, that speech impediment kind of goes away, and you speak more with authority. You have this air of authority. You know what you're talking about. There's not any guess as to whether you know your stuff or not. You do. So use that. You could be a expert, um, an expert on whatever your field of study is, and you could talk about that. You could speak very very eloquently about that, and a lot of people, like, for example, on the news they'll have like experts on politics or on the environment or on law or whatever it is, and they'll talk about stuff. So that could be you. um Even like people are using their podcasts and different forms of social media or social communication through social media to broaden their um, broaden their audience, broaden their reach, and get more public exposure. So, you know, things like that. Let's see here. All right. So, if you have Rahu as your Atmakaraka in the third house, this is kind of funny. Rahu loves to be in the third house because it's like it's this communication. Rahu in the third house longs for that that communication, that interpersonal communication. He's a comedian. He's a, quick-witted, funny guy. You know, it's so Rahu in the third house has this thing about wanting to like push the envelope even more with communication. Wants to make friends. He wants to expand and broaden his horizons. Might be, you know, Rahu is foreign things, foreign languages, foreign people, foreign cultures. So with Rahu in the third house, you have a great ability to learn foreign languages. You have the great ability to speak multiple languages, like not only English, but Spanish, French, Japanese, Mandarin. The abilities and opportunities there are endless. So, um, yeah, you might be one of those people who travels to foreign cultures and learns languages and makes a ton of friends and like like a world traveler almost kind of thing. Because again, Rahu is aspecting the ninth house. So yeah, and it's also aspecting the seventh and 11th. So 11th house is especially good for getting out of your comfort zone and making new friends. So yeah. So with Rahu here, it's there's a lot of good stuff there. Like you could be like a chatty Cathy, you could be overly talkative, you could talk someone's ear off for days. Um Things like that. So, um, and this thing with courage and Rahu being here, Rahu will give you the courage and the ability to talk to strangers, talk to, people from different cultures, and, you could be a great journalist, like, a great writer, great journalist who, goes into different cultures and different places of the world and like talks about them and journals about them and like writes about them and interviews different people, and it's just a really cool placement there. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and go ahead and subscribe. I have subscribed there. Click the bell notification to get notified of all my videos, because I will be uploading daily. I have made a commitment to do that. I will be taking a short vacation this weekend from the 8th to the 11th, but I will come back on the 12th and pick it up. So, and also, don't forget, become a member. Click that join button because you'll have access to my exclusive Discord community. You'll have access to my, depending on the tier, you'll have access to my courses, which you can see up here. And I'll be doing a live stream every month, or at least every month, possibly every week, depending on how many members I get. That incentivizes me to do more for you guys. So there's a whole bunch of benefits to becoming a member that I just don't have time to mention here. So go click that join button and you'll see all the benefits of becoming a member of my channel. Alright guys, it does cost a little bit, but it's really cheap, it's not that bad, so yeah. Come join me on my private Discord server and we will talk to you later. Peace. Take care guys. Have a great day.